Okay, so let's look at the course of the optic nerve. So as we said before, the optic nerve is formed at the optic disc, and that's where the axons of the retinal ganglion cells converge. And they will have already received impulses from the rods and cones to intake that visual information. And so that forms the optic nerve, and that is surrounded by meninges, so i.e. dura mater, pia mater, arachnoid mater, like the rest of the spinal cord. That's quite interesting because a lot of other nerves, in fact, almost all other nerves in the body, are surrounded by the conventional epi, peri, and endoneurium, but actually the optic nerve is surrounded by the meninges. And after this, the optic nerve leaves the bony orbit through the sphenoid bone, through the optic canal, and that runs along the middle cranial fossa. So that's the extracranial portion of the optic nerve, and now into the intracranial portion. So the optic nerves from each eye, they unite at the optic chiasm, which you can see here. And the fibers from the medial half of each retina cross over, decussate, whilst fibers from the lateral parts remain ipsilateral, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then this forms the right and left optic tracts. But let's just pause the optic chiasm for a second and let's highlight some important structures nearby. So here, running right next to the optic chiasm is the internal carotid artery. So the optic nerves run medial to the internal carotid artery. And here we have the pituitary gland. So it's the pituitary. And that's relevant for certain pathologies as well. So let's carry on with our course of the optic nerves. So we were at the optic chiasm. Now they form two separate optic tracts. And each of these tracts, they travel to the respective hemispheres to reach the lateral geniculate nucleus, LGN. So they reach the LGN somewhere around here. In the next slide, you'll see more about that. And that's sort of a relay point in the thalamus. And there's a synapse formed here, and then axons from here carry visual information in the left and right optic radiations. The optic radiations reach the visual cortex, and that's called Brodmann's area 17. In the next slide, I'll show you actually how the optic radiations relate to the visual fields themselves.